So we talked about Jalen Carter, and one of the guys who people are talking about is Vic Beasley. And Thomas Dimitroff was on our radio station yesterday, and he was making some news and stuff like that, where he talked about the idea of, and this is from Thomas Dimitroff. He said the Falcons knew that Vic Beasley wasn't as passionate about the game of football as most, but the team erroneously thought they could bring his passion to the forefront. Um, Now, look, obviously, Vic Beasley, for a lot of people, was one of those first round busts that the Falcons have famously had, and this, that, and the other. And, by the time his career ended, he fell off a cliff, played in Tennessee, didn't have any love for the game. I mean, we know the whole story, right? But can I tell you, though, that that was still the right draft pick to make in 2015. Hindsight is always 2020. When you look back and you look through picks and say, well, we could have had this guy versus this guy and this, that, and the other. Okay. Here's where we were at in 2015. We were a league worst 19 sacks in 2015. Does that sound familiar? Does that ring a bell to anybody? We were a league worst 19 sacks in 2015. We draft Vic Beasley in 15, and we go to the Super Bowl in 16, where in 2016, we were tied with the Patriots with 34 sacks for 18th. The two Super Bowl teams finished in the top 18 with 34 sacks. In 2017, our last playoff year, we were 14th in the NFL with 39 sacks. Does that ring any bells? 39, 38, okay? Top 20. Does that ring any bells or anything like that? Since that point, okay, and these are not coincidental numbers, okay, that I'm going to give you. So 26, so last in the NFL, 2015, okay? No playoff that year. 2016, 34 sacks, 18th playoffs, Super Bowl. 2017, 39 sacks, playoffs, second round of the playoffs, okay? Then we go to 22nd in 2018, 29th in 2019, 24th in 2020, 32nd in 2021, and 31st in 2022. So anytime over the last 8 years that we have not finished in the top 20 in sacks, what do all of those things have in common? Let's see. Last, 22nd, 29th, 24th, 32nd, 31st. What do those years all have in common? Okay. Oh, we weren't in the playoffs. Oh, okay. Oh, wait here, though. We finished 14th and 18th 2 years. Oh, playoffs, second round, 1 year playoffs, Super Bowl. Huh. You think those things don't go together? You think that those things are just mere coincidence, just figures out of the sky? What do I preach all the time about this? That if you can't sack the quarterback in today's NFL, your defense isn't anything. It doesn't matter what your defense, no matter what you are against the run, what you are against the pass, what you do, this, that, and the other. If you can't put the quarterback on the ground, this is the Falcons' mantra. That was the right pick. Vic Beasley was the second most important reason that we were in the Super Bowl. Matt and the offensive production that we got was number one. And when your quarterback is the MVP of the league, let me give you an exercise. Start in 1979 with Terry Bradshaw, and look at where quarterbacks who are the MVP of the league, what's the last game of the season that they play in? Can I tell you the vast majority of them is Super Bowl or conference championship game when a quarterback's the MVP. So that's the first most important reason. The second most important reason is we could sack the quarterback. And we had a guy that led the league in sacking the quarterback. And when we had that, no matter what you think about Vic Beasley and his production or this or that or one trick pony or he gathered sacks and bunches and whatever this false narrative is, this fake news narrative is, when we had a guy that could come off the edge, we were a playoff defense. When we didn't, we were not. 2015, before Vic Beasley even got here, last in the league. We weren't a Super Bowl. We weren't a playoff team. The 2 years we were in the playoffs, we were 14th and 18th in the NFL in sacks. From that time, we have not finished in the top 20 in sacks the year before Vic Beasley and since Vic Beasley was drafted in 2015 and then played in 2016. These are not coincidental numbers, folks. These are not numbers that are just mythical, made up, and all this good kind of stuff. These are numbers that matter in the NFL. So that's why I'm so hardcore about finding our edge player at number 8. That's why I'm hardcore about the idea of the last 14 Super Bowl participants, 43.5 sacks average. That's why 70% of the active sack leaders in the NFL for career stats, active sack leaders, are first-round picks. That's why since 2016, 70% of the playoff teams in the NFL have averaged 38 or more sacks. These are not random numbers, folks. And at some point, you're going to either buy in or you're going to be left behind in the train. And by the way, 1 year does not prove the rule. Not saying 1 year that, well, they did it differently or this, that, and the other proves the rule. When I have data for decades or, almost a decade's worth of numbers, it bears out. So Vic Beasley was the right guy. He was the right pick. Even if he couldn't play football and he didn't love football and all this good kind of stuff, what he did, would you take away that year of 2016? Would you not want that year in 2016? And by the way, it wasn't a fait accompli that we would have been in the playoffs, or sorry, in the Super Bowl and things like that. You never know once you get to the playoffs if you're going to be a Super Bowl team. But the fact is that, and by the way, we lost some crazy games in the year of 2016. Remember, we were really good down the stretch, but there were some losses mixed in there. It wasn't like we were 15-1 that year. It wasn't like we were 16-0 that year, but there were some funky losses mixed in there. So Vic Beasley was the right pick. I know Falcon fans don't want to hear that, but he was the second most important reason that we were in the Super Bowl in 2016. All right, once you make Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery your first listen every day, make sure you go in and leave us a comment and let us know that you are an everyday listener. So whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're downloading us and listening to us on a podcast platform, make sure that you go in and acknowledge the fact that you are an everyday listener. We call them our everydayers, and we thank you so much for being a part of our community and listening in every single day to the show.